In this video, we will address key executive orders. These 7 executive orders shown in the boxes are listed from the earliest to the most recent. An executive order is a directive issued by the President of the United States that manages the operations of the federal government. It has the full force and effect of the law enacted by the legislature, except where it is contradicted by another duly passed federal law. Therefore, a president can issue an executive order to bypass Congress's bureaucracy and advance policy objectives without having to go through the legislative process. It is signed by the president, approved by the Office of Management and Budget and the Attorney General, and is recorded in the Federal Register. Executive Order 11246, commonly known as Order Number 4, prohibits employment discrimination by federal contractors and subcontractors and requires affirmative action plans. It requires contractors to take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and that employees are treated fairly during employment without regard to their race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. All employers who have contracts or subcontracts to provide goods or services to federal departments or to agencies of the executive branch are subject to this requirement if their contracts exceed or are likely to exceed $10,000 per year. Banks and other financial institutions that are depositories of federal funds are also subject to this order. In 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson recognized that employers were not implementing the equal employment opportunity provided by the Civil Rights Act of 1964, so his administration created affirmative action requirements to force the portion of employer community engaged in all federal contracting to implement the new law. Affirmative action is a process by which employers identify a historical imbalance in their workforce. They make the efforts to increase the presence of women, minority, covered veterans, and disabled individuals in the workplace, and then take positive steps to correct their underutilization. These executive orders amend Executive Order 11246, which addresses discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, or national origin. Executive Order 11375 of 1967. This executive order was signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson on October 13, 1967. It now bans discrimination on the basis of sex in hiring and employment in both the United States federal workforce and on the part of government contractors. The order provided that the Civil Service Commission, CSC, would be able to hear complaints of sexual-based discrimination from employees of the federal government 1 month after the order was issued. 1 year after its issuance, it authorized the Bureau of Labor to investigate and address similar complaints from those employed by government contractors. Unlike the Equal Pay Act of 1963, it applied to those working in administrative, executive, and professional positions. And unlike the Civil Rights Act, Title VII of 1964, it did not exclude teaching professionals. Executive Order 12138 of 1979. The National Women's Business Enterprise Policy was created by then President Carter's ratification of Executive Order 12138. Essentially, the policy made some significant changes in the previous Small Business Act to enable a variety of means through which there would be development, growth, and expansion of women-owned businesses and entrepreneurial efforts. This group, the National Women's Business Council, NWBC, advises Congress, the President, and the United States Small Business Administration on matters considered to be of economic and programmatic significance to female business owners. The current makeup of the group was shifted by the passage of the Small Business Reauthorization Act in 1994, and it includes representation from both female small business owners and large women's business organizations. Executive Order 13279 of 2002. This order was signed into law on December 12, 2002 by President Barack Obama in order to promote compliance with constitutional and other applicable legal principles, and to strengthen the capacity of faith-based and other neighborhood organizations to deliver services effectively to those in need. In November 2010, the executive order was amended by Executive Order 13559 to clarify its principles and add certain protections for beneficiaries of federal social service programs. The United States government provides equal opportunity in federal employment and prohibits discrimination in employment because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, handicap, or age, and continues to promote affirmative action programs in each executive department and agency. Executive Order 11478 of 1969. This order was signed by President Richard M. Nixon on August 8, 1969, to prohibit discrimination in the competitive service of the federal civilian workforce on certain grounds. This order was later amended to cover individuals with handicaps and people over age 40 as protected classes. Executive Order 13087 of 1998. This order was signed by President Bill Clinton on May 28, 1998, to expand coverage to include sexual orientation. The order also applies to employees of the government of the District of Columbia and the United States Postal Service. However, it does not apply to positions and agencies in the accepted service, such as the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, National Security Agency, NSA, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI. Amidst controversy of signing of this order, the Equal Opportunity Commission clarified that Executive Order 13087 did not create any new rights. However, it did set the stage for positive and constructive action by all units of federal government to make certain that the workplace is free from harassment of discrimination. Executive Order 13152 of 2000. This executive order is a further amendment to Executive Order 11478 and was signed by President Bill Clinton on May 2, 2000. It was ordered to provide for a uniform policy for the federal government to prohibit discrimination based on an individual's status as a parent.